Hello everyone, I'm Lior, and today I want to talk to you about what developers are really searching for. I want to share 5 lessons that we have learned building a service that is being used by millions of developers. So my name is Lior Grossman. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Openbase. I'm based in Austin, Texas, and I've been a developer since 1991, back in the days of Turbo Pascal and assembly. And over the years, I've built several different projects and several different companies. And today specifically, I want to talk to you about Openbase and how it can help you and how we work with Algolia to help developers. So let's get started. Our agenda for today is, first, I'm going to introduce you to Openbase and what Openbase is. Then we're going to cover the Openbase architecture and how it works. And later, I'm going to tell you about how we use Algolia. And we're going to wrap up with a fun part. I'm going to share with you 5 things that we've learned about what developers are really searching for. So let's get started. At Openbase, our mission is to help developers discover and choose open source libraries. And I want to show you what Openbase looks like and how it can help you choose libraries. So let's check it out. So this is Openbase. You could visit Openbase on openbase.com. This is our homepage, and you can learn about the latest and greatest in open source in our homepage. Now, let's say I'm a React developer and I'm looking for a charting library today. I would go to openbase.com and hit the search bar. As you can see, this search is powered by Algolia. Specifically, I'm looking for React charts, so I'm going to look for React chart. And one thing you would notice here is that we show alongside different packages, we actually suggest different categories: React chart, React native chart, React chat. Each category has a list of several hand-picked libraries for you that you can compare side by side. So I'm going to click this one as an example. And this category allows me to compare different React chart libraries. So I can compare them side by side with things like star count, downloads, less commit, and user ratings. In particular, I'm finding recharts kind of interesting, so I'm going to click this one and get to the recharts package page. So in the package page for recharts, I can learn more about the library. And I can see things like user ratings. I can see things like download count, star count, and learn more about how popular the package is. I can learn about how well maintained it is. I can learn about alternatives for recharts. That's super useful. And I can always dive in, right? So I can read specific reviews by other fellow developers for this recharts library. So I can learn whether it's the right fit for my needs. Or I could dive deeper into the insights and data and look at things like popularity data or data about commits, like commit frequency, data like release cadence, data about average time to close issues or PR. So a lot of useful things you can learn about this library to help you make sure you choose the right package every time. So that is how you use Openbase. And I want to show you a bit the architecture behind Openbase and how we build this. So essentially, let's say I'm a user and I'm having this search query. I'm going to openbase.com and typing a search query. This page is being served by our Next.js app that is running on Vercel. And obviously, being a Next.js app, our front end is built using React. Now, every time you type a query, we query Algolia directly from the front end. So what we find out by doing some experimentation is the fastest way to get search results is essentially hitting the Algolia API directly. We found out trying to go through our API and then querying Algolia takes longer. So we ended up querying Algolia directly for a blazing fast experience. Now you might be wondering, how have we built this Algolia index, right? Like we have 3.5 million packages and loads of data. I'm going to show you how. So we have these two services, the NPM service and the GitHub service. The NPM service is running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And what it does is essentially it sits on top of NPM's database and keeps on pulling data for newly published packages and new package versions. And every time there's a new package version, it's being queued up in our SQS, and we pull this data into our database here. So this entire thing is serverless, runs based on a queue, and therefore is super reliable. And we make sure we do not overload NPM because we're using queues. Now, every time we pull data about a package, we also trigger this other service, the GitHub service. So the GitHub service is in charge of pulling data from GitHub, such as star count over time, and README, and issues, PRs, commits, and all of that. Every time a package changes, every time there's a change on GitHub, we pull this data about the package to our database. So what we end up with is having a database that basically mirrors the up-to-date data about each and every package from NPM, PyPy, Maven, and other registries, alongside the accompanying data from GitHub. Now, you might be wondering, what are we doing with all this data? So one thing that we do with all this data is we push it into our Algolia indices. We have a service called Service Algolia. This is a serverless queue-based service as well. And every time a package data changes, meaning something like the description has changed, the last commit data has changed, the star count has changed, we push this data into our Algolia indexes. So this makes sure Algolia indices are always up to date with the latest data. But in addition to that, we have our API service. This is essentially what drives Openbase. Whenever you go to a package page on openbase.com, we query our API, and our API is built using a piece of software called PostgreSQL. So PostgreSQL connects to our database on Amazon, pulls all this data about packages, and exposes a GraphQL API that we can use from our front end. So this is how we serve data to our users. This has been a really short overview of our architecture, but if you're interested in learning more, we actually have a 1-hour session with Algolia about the architecture behind Openbase. So if you're interested in learning more, go to openbase.com/Algolia DevCon. Let me tell you a bit about how Openbase uses Algolia. Every time a user searches for something on Openbase and clicks a result, we send this data to Algolia. And every time a user ends up installing a package, clicking the npm install button on Openbase, we send this data to Algolia as well. And the reason we do so is because this allows Algolia's AI to improve the search results over time. Algolia learns what users are actually interested in and what they click, and is able to provide better and better search results every week. So I highly recommend that you use this Algolia feature as well. And the nice side effect of that is we push all this data to Algolia, and every time we visit the Algolia dashboard, we learn cool stuff about what our users searching for within Openbase. And we want to share some of these discoveries with you today. Here are 5 things we've learned about what developers are searching for. Let's hit it off. Here's my question to you, and I want you to chime in the chat. How many open source JavaScript packages do we have on our platform? And it's a trick question because I mentioned this earlier in this talk. So chime in the chat. I'm going to give you a few more seconds. Pick any number between 0 and 5 billion. How many open source JavaScript packages do we have on our platform? And the answer is 2.1 million JavaScript packages on our platform. And as you can see here in the Algolia dashboard, JavaScript is the largest ecosystem that we serve. It's 4 times larger than the Python ecosystem, which is our second largest ecosystem. It's no wonder developers have so much JavaScript fatigue with over 2 million different packages. Moving to our second question. Question number 2, chime in the chat. Based on our Google Analytics, what are the most popular categories on Openbase? And I showed you the charting categories. There are like multiple categories, things like natural language processing or search. What do you think are the most popular categories on Openbase? Chime in the chat. And the answer is number 1, React carousels. Number 2, React calendars. Number 3, apparently a lot of people are looking for WYSIWYG editors. Interesting. Number 4, even more calendars, this time for Angular. Apparently a lot of people are looking for calendars. And number 5, you won't believe it, this is a head scratcher. Many developers are looking for MySQL ORMs. Yeah, apparently it's a thing. All right, moving right along. You can search for more packages on openbase.com/categories. We have thousands of different categories, and be sure to check it out. Look for your favorite category, check out the top packages, and let us know what you think. Question number 3 for today is, what are the most searched front-end frameworks based on Algolia Analytics? And I know this is a loaded question. I want to see your answers in the chat. What is the most searched for front-end framework on Openbase? Can you guess? Let us know in the chat. I'm going to give you a few more seconds. And at number 1, we have React. And at number 2, we have Vue. These are the most popular search terms on Openbase. But you might be wondering, is there anything missing here? Where is Angular? So we were wondering that as well. And we were looking at the Algolia dashboard, and apparently Angular is at number 15. That's not great for Angular, but I'll give them that. They do have a 34% click-through rate, which means 1 out of 3 people looking for Angular on Openbase end up on the Angular package page. So they have this going for them. Good. And question number 4 for today is, what is the most searched category on Openbase using Algolia? So it's a multiple choice question. I want you to type your answers in the chat. Is it A, date, B, calendar libraries, C, PDF libraries, or D, carousel libraries? So I'm going to give you a few more seconds, multiple choice. You can type your answer in the chat, and let's see what you come up with. All right, time is up. The answer is PDF. So apparently loads of developers are looking for PDF libraries, anything from PDF Viewer to PDF Editor to PDF Annotator. So many different tools and libraries out there for PDF. Definitely an area of interest for lots of developers. And one more thing, our last question for today. That's a tough one. What percentage of our searches end up clicking a category as opposed to clicking a library in the search results? What do you think? Pick any number from 0% to 100%. Let us know in the chat. I'm going to give you a few more seconds. See what you come up with. And the answer is 21%. 21% of our search results end up clicking a category as opposed to a package. And we found that a lot of developers use our categories feature because categories allow developers to kind of compare best of breed packages side by side and avoid JavaScript fatigue. So enjoy the categories by going to openbase.com/categories. So I want to tell you a bit about how we provide these search results to users in terms of providing both packages and categories at the same time. So we use a technique that is called federated search. Federated search means we're searching two indices, two data sources at the same time. So at Openbase, every time you're doing any kind of search query, like charting, for example, we're searching the packages index alongside the categories index. So you get both category results and package results. But we're already working on introducing additional indices to Algolia. So you could go to Openbase in the future and search for things like tutorials and code examples in tandem with packages and categories. So the opportunities with federated search are really limitless, and we're kind of excited about this, where this would get us. And I would encourage you to go to openbase.com, try our search. Also encourage you to join our community. We're starting this thriving community of developers who are passionate about open source libraries. Chime in on Openbase. We want to hear about the coolest, hottest new package of the day from you. So thank you for taking the time to learn more about Openbase and Algolia and how we work together to help you choose packages. You can follow us on Twitter at Openbase or at Lior Grossman. And don't forget, there's a break coming up. So we have a booth at the expo. We would love to see you on that booth. Make sure to visit us, say hi, and let us know what you think of Openbase. Thank you so much.